What we have here tonight is Cubos with Brandon Adams. I want to thank you for sitting down with me and answering some of the questions that we in the Legion have about Warsaken specifically. It's a really exciting time, obviously, with the Kickstarter launch coming up, the physical game boxes, and all the cards. And I guess it begs the question to start off: what is Warsaken?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. Warsaken, it's a modern military themed deck construction game. It's designed in a way to be very flexible and have a lot of different like ways to play the game, a lot of flexibility for different kinds of play styles, as well as like different types of players, both from a personality perspective as well as just the way that you would want to play, different kinds of games. It's very flexible. Uh, the thing that I really like about the way that we created it is that we started with a military theme, as I mentioned. And so one of the things that's nice about that is that it's highly relatable. So a lot of the people, out there in the world have sat through some kind of history class of some kind, and they're familiar with things like World War One and World War Two. And so things like submarines and aircraft carriers and fighter jets and soldiers are familiar, concepts to them, as opposed to some other kinds of more, other kinds of games that are out there. And then the thing ultimately that Warsaken's all about is about bringing people together. So we want to try, we tried to create a game that would bring people to the table as family and friends to help people find ways to connect with one another. And that's kind of how it all started.
So traditionally in trading card games, there's a few different game modes that happen. There's often the more complicated standard modes, some fun draft and sealed modes, and usually a quick type of game mode. What are we going to see from Warsaken specifically in order to bring people together?
Yeah, so I mean, Warsaken has several different game modes. We have what we call standard, which is the mechanics that are on the card and the mechanisms for compromising your leader and the sort of standard gameplay. And then we also have a solo mode. So one of the things that I really love about Warsaken is the way that we created the what we call Cabal, which is our solo and co-op mode. So there's a game mat that you can play, and the best part is you use all the same cards you would use if you were going to be playing, say, against your friends, or your family for any normal get together in a versus battle. But you get to play together and you get to play against a board. So it also offers kind of this awesome story mode where you can kind of go through and learn about how to play the game, learn more about the characters and some of the conflicts in the story that help you learn more about the lore. But then once you've defeated the first 15 levels in the Cabal, you can actually construct sort of on the fly any other set of cards you want to play with in the Cabal mode and do infinite skirmishes. I kind of expect there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to play test their decks this way, but also for the community to develop, benchmark type game setups that allow people to test their decks against certain levels, if you will. And then one of the other things, besides being able to do draft with standard and also play solo, we have another game mode called Blitz, and Blitz is sort of like the quick fun jump in, play for 10-15 minutes and jump back out kind of game. And it does so by leveraging all the same cards. So you're playing all these games with all the same cards. But Blitz doesn't really look at the mechanics on the cards. It looks at the card types, and it's more of like a random game, but it also includes quite a bit of skill. It reinforces some of the early concepts around compromising leaders. What are the territories for protecting them? Leader cards, but it doesn't go into the full depth of the game, the standard game. So it offers quite a bit of flexibility for people to play in different ways and play a lot.
So there's going to be sort of something for everybody in terms of the game modes that come with this starter release, let's say. You'll have something that's quick and easy, something that's a bit more in-depth in your standard. So players from other card games, are they going to have any difficulty really just jumping into Warsaken?
I don't think so. I think it's really easy to pick up Blitz. Super easy to pick up Blitz. You can sit down first game and you can be playing it effectively first game. After you've played like one or two games of Blitz, you're familiar with sort of like the card types and some of the base mechanics around the game. And then it really sort of leads you nicely into playing standard in a simple way. And using the Cabal, you can kind of ramp up as well. And so there's a lot of different ways to sort of get in, start at your level, and jump all the way to as advanced as you're ready to handle. Based on the different mechanics and capabilities of the cards.
And that's great. The solo gameplay is not something that a lot of trading card games seem to have. So being able to tell story through that mode is great. And then draft as well. That's something I'd like to touch on because it is in the box set.
Yeah. So the typical strategy for playing Warsaken is to sit down and play a standard match. But one of the things that we wanted to include was a way for people to effectively do draft with packs. But we didn't really want to have to make people go and buy a lot of packs. We wanted to just simply provide a method that they could hack their packs on their own and then still play the full capability of a draft game. And so that's what we've done. We've included effectively empty boxes in the box set that are pack sized that you can repack. They're resealable cardboard. And so you can put your cards in based on the instructions that come with the set. And then you can, go through and build out different kinds of, draft packs and play with your friends.
And that leads into, there's the sort of standard game modes, the stuff that you'd normally see. So what sets Warsaken apart? What makes it unique specifically from lots of other tradable card games?
Yeah, so there's a few mechanic things that I think are really important to touch on here. So the main one I think is the timer system. We've spent a lot of time developing the way that the timer system within Warsaken works to kind of keep the game pace at a consistent level, regardless of the capability or strength of your deck. We've done that with effectively turn-based timers. So every turn you're able to reduce timers, and there's certain things that cost higher amounts of those abilities and other just cards to be played. And that's a really key factor in the way we price things when we develop the card, the individual cards. We price cards that you play with both resource costs and time costs. It allows us a lot of flexibility to pace the game differently. And there are other cards that you can play that, adjust those timers. So it's a really cool system. The other thing that's important is the fundamental way that you're able to win, right? So you win by eliminating an enemy leader, all the other enemy leaders. But one of the things that a lot of other games have, I think, is there's lots of different ways to win. What we sort of did is set Warsaken in this system where in order to win, you have to eliminate the leader, but to do that, you have to have compromised the leader first. So the leader can't be just directly attacked. And one of the ways that you can do that is by eliminating the 4 start territories, but you can also reduce their morale to 0 or reduce their arsenal down to no cards ready to draw. And so by offering those 3 different methods for compromising but not winning, it allows everybody to sort of play at the same pace. And so we develop the card power scales to kind of coincide with the ratios between those 3. And it results in a pretty fun, well-paced game. But the other thing that we really wanted to do that I think maybe perhaps sets us apart the most is we took a tenet early on when we were developing the game to make sure that people who were playing enjoyed it, including those who lose. So the people who are losing, right, they're in a lot of games, they get frustrated, they get angry, and they want to walk away because they were overpowered by their opponent's deck or something to that effect. We wanted everyone who played, even those who were losing, to feel like they left everything on the war zone. They tried everything they could, and they just couldn't quite come up with the win. And you'll see it in all of the play testing that went on and all of the games that have been played. We've had lots and lots of games, 14,000 hours plus on Tabletopia alone. And these games are always close. They're almost always close. And it makes it for a really exhilarating game that you can enjoy over and over again.
It's great because I think we've all walked away from a table at least once feeling real bad about having lost. So.
Table flipping isn't supposed to be a thing that happens in Warsaken.
That's fair. So with all the leaders, if anybody's looked at the site or at the cards and how many there are, there's a lot of leaders. When you're talking about compromising them, they're the core of your deck. They set the pace and the tone for your whole arsenal. So with all of them, how do you tell their stories? What is sort of their lore and what connects them?
Yeah, so Warsaken, from a story perspective, that's that's like how we start, right? So everything that we've done with the set, this set and future sets, including the one that's currently in development, set two, um, we've gone through the process of creating individual leaders with an entire lore and story around them, and we develop their territories and their, sort of their big forces that support them and their other strategies for gameplay around their personality and the kind of character that they are. So we've gone through this process to develop each of the characters and the story around them. So we hired an author, Daniel Coleman, who's a published author who's done several books, to basically come up with and elaborate on the lore and the world building that we had been working on internally. And so he took all of that and created some amazing stories that help tell the background of these leaders in this first set, and will continue to do that. In addition to that, we've done quite a bit of other expansion. So, like the leader Volkov, for example, there's a Amazon Echo skill that you can install on your Amazon Echo devices that you can go through a choose your own adventure sort of short story. And as you go through that story, you learn about his background, how he was taken out of power, who took over, how he escaped, and what he did after being ousted. And that's we plan to continue to develop some of those, and that actually spawns further sets. We have a mini set that's actually part of this offering. So when you buy the backs, when you back when you become a backer on Kickstarter, you're going to get inside the box a claim code that you can use to go and redeem some digital packs that will include cards from the set Zero, which is Volkov's escape. So it's really taking that story that we elaborated on in the Choose Your Own Adventure and turning it into those story moments into cards directly. And then obviously the Cabal itself. Each level in the Cabal comes with sort of a mission that's an audio cutscene that tells you what you're going to be doing and why it's important. And then in addition to that, after the level is over, you're going to hear a cutscene that talks about the story behind those characters that you're attacking and defeating, and how they're taking these losses. And it helps kind of, again, continue to develop the world around Warsaken, and also just help people dive deeper into the lore.
Yeah, awesome. And on the website, there's each leader broken down for set one with their own short story as well. So those are great to read, and obviously they connect to each other in a lot of ways. Will that continue for the set two leaders having their own short story, and the set two leaders and onwards, will they have their own Cabal stories as well?
Yeah, 100%. And furthermore, we're bringing certain leaders from set one forward, and we'll bring into set two, and we'll bring certain leaders from set one and set two into set three, and so on. And so we're going to continue to develop the story around these characters and how their nations interweave, and what happens in this world that we are building.
And with all the world building going on, a lot of trading cards roll out fresh sets or fresh cards, sometimes 3 and 4 times a year. What is the rough plan for Warsaken in terms of keeping it fresh and keeping the metagame from becoming stagnant?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think there are certain games. There are certain games I think that have a rapid cadence of release, perhaps too much, and it kind of dilutes, I think, the ability for people to keep up with it to some degree, especially more casual gamers. So right now we have a plan to release a single set every year with about 244 cards in it per set, and some of these mini sets that have like about 20 cards in them. But eventually, our goal is to get to a place where we can sustain handling, 2 sets a year and cut it off there. We feel like 2 sets a year is the right amount of freshness, uniqueness, and interesting, storytelling that we can develop per year, but also without overwhelming our customer base with too many cards or too much stuff to follow. So it adds flavor without overwhelming.
Yeah, and gives players, especially in a competitive format, the time to really learn the cards and come to agreements on strategies. With the bonus set Zero that you're talking about in the box set, do you plan on doing more bonus sets in the future in between sets?
Yeah, so we haven't really solidified our plans around exactly how many sets and when they'll release, but we definitely want to tell stories, right? And so every time we tell a story, if it's a significant enough story, we'll build a mini set around it just so that we can make sure that the cards really elaborate the story, and that's intentional. But I don't think we're going to stick ourselves to any particular schedule at this point. We know that we're going to release them, and they're going to be good.
So with all the like, this is obviously well thought out. You have a whole world built around these characters. You have all these core mechanics. Everything seems extremely well laid out. So I want to ask about the first time that you did the Kickstarter and how much you've learned and how
Yeah.
much more successful you think this one's going to be.
Yeah, so I mean, we started with Kickstarter a few years ago, and one of the biggest problems with the original Kickstarter was that we just didn't have the art, right? We didn't have the art ready. The cards didn't change a lot between when we launched the Kickstarter and now. In fact, for the most part, the mechanics are almost identical. We did some like wording updates, but the art really just had to get done, and so we wanted that to be part of why we were doing the Kickstarter, was to fund the art. Um, because we realized that that wasn't quite going to go where we wanted it to, we canceled the Kickstarter and we said we're going to just have to do this more slowly and build it out ourselves and commit to this project. And so we've been working for the last couple of years on, continuing to develop the game and the art, and further our playtesting, develop some of these mini sets, build more on the lore, and we've been working really heavily on the digital game, obviously, as well. And that's one of the big parts of the community thus far, and kind of the development that we've done has really helped, honestly, make the game better. Like we built Blitz, and Cabal, because we originally had all these ideas to put that in, into the game, but we didn't put that in the Kickstarter because we felt like we wanted to focus on just getting the first version out. But after talking to retailers and learning more from our community, it was clear that we needed to offer more capability in the first box. And so we really simplified what the box is. What's in the box is everything. You don't have to worry about trying to get various versions or anything. We tried to make it so that you had enough to build lots of different decks, play the Cabal, try everything out, and be ready for set 2.
Wicked. And in these couple of years of rebuilding and getting ready to launch again, and building everything out, you've grown a community, obviously, in the background that supports this, and lots of players, myself included. And you've now got like Twitch streamers on board. They have your own Warsaken tag channel for streaming. And there's been tournaments on Tabletopia where the digital portion of the game can be played in sort of a manual format there. So tell me more about the community.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have the best community. I can't label it any other way. We have amazing mods. We have amazing members. We have amazing Twitch streamers that are out there showcasing the game in various forms. We have just a really broad community of people that are involved in the game at different levels. A lot of the people that are involved in set 2 card development come from the community and everything. We've done a lot, I think, to build up that community and keep it safeguarded, so that it's really a safe place for people to come and just hang out and enjoy each other and talk about the game and learn more from each other and help each other out. And so we built the digital game, and it's in beta currently. And everyone who has played it is just absolutely loving it. We have had tens of thousands of games at this point already since we launched it. And on top of that, a lot of the Twitch streaming community has really come out to support us. They love the game. They like the way that it allows them to engage with their audience directly and play them, directly, quickly with the game of Blitz. And it's been reinvigorating the community as well, to see all the the Twitch streamers out there. So it's been a great couple of years.
So going forward, then, in your ideal world, what does the future of Warsaken look like?
Yeah, so I think Warsaken is about family. I've told the story about how Warsaken kind of came to be on multiple occasions. I don't know if we want to go into it, but my feeling about Warsaken is that I want it to sort of carve a place out in everybody's hearts, in bringing people together, friends and family, to sit down and play and come, over a theme that is consistent with something that they're familiar with and they can understand and relate to.
So if I ask you, so the community itself has really looked and pointed towards the pack opening experience, the gameplay experience, and the art on the cards that has drawn them in, kept them engaged and wanting more from Warsaken. But what is the one thing, the top thing in your mind that would bring somebody in and make them want to play Warsaken continuously?
Yeah, I think the short answer is Warsaken is multi-generational. It crosses boundaries that I think a lot of other games don't typically. Um, Most of the war games that are out on the market are super old school. They're reenactments of some, battle of, World War II or World War One. They're very, strict and rigid towards history, and so we kind of removed that by simply saying this is taking place in an alternate universe, and we're going to enjoy the opportunity to explore the space and the storytelling. But one of the things that's important to understand is this game is something that you could sit down with, your father and your son, and you could all play together, and you would all be able to understand the concepts. You would be able to relate to it, and I think that multi-generational capability is just something that's difficult to find in a lot of games. Something that really speaks to all of those different demographics. So I think that's the one thing that, in my mind, brings Warsaken, and the community, like the collective of all of just everybody being together. That's the thing that brings everybody to Warsaken, keeps them there, and helps us all kind of enjoy spending that time together.
Cool. In terms of the the gameplay, the lore, the community, um, the whole universe built out, do you see any other avenues for storytelling for Warsaken in the future?
I mean, absolutely. So we've been working on some concepting around what we call Warsaken World. Um, the the idea here is that we want to have a more storytelling experience that is this, like, storytelling being the center of the game, where you're able to explore interaction with different characters and kind of go on an adventure with either by yourself or with a group of people, and have that result in you developing your characters and a lot of interaction with that and the cards that are actually in the game, the characters that are in the game, and continue sort of the storytelling that's already going on. I also believe that we have really good people involved. There's a lot of opportunity to develop novels. Anime is something that we've talked about, and turning the story into a much broader experience and opportunity, really, for us as a business.
So, is there any one thing? I have two more questions, but the first one would be: is there anything that you want to say or just put out into the world about Warsaken that I just haven't asked you about?
Yeah, I mean, when we came to Kickstarter and we left because we canceled the Kickstarter, I wrote a letter to everyone who was involved and just let them know, like, we're going to be back. And not only are we back, but we're here to stay.
Awesome. Okay, final question, and I think that the community is always asking this, and it's a very prevalent question among all of us and all of them. When COD?
Yeah. When So for those who might not be familiar, the community always asks for these codes. We give out codes that you can use to redeem digital cards. And so in the merchandise, we have these cards that come with a scratch off. I don't know if you can see that, the scratch off that comes with them. So I could scratch one of these off if we wanted to, hand out a code really quick.
Wow,
And just
I don't think anybody would complain too hard
I haven't scratched one of these off in a little while. Hopefully it comes through in the camera. But this is for a single card. So if you get this code and you claim it, you'll be the only one who can get it. So the first person to notice this code, and I'm going to trust Cubos that you won't claim this.
I won't take it.
Let me see if this is coming through. Let me just switch to make sure I can see here. I don't know if that's coming through, but
no, she's too fuzzy. Oh, there we go. She's just focused right there. Oh, I do hope somebody claims that.
I hope it works out. So the best part about the boxes is that you get something very similar to this in the box that instead of claiming a single card, claims an entire set of packs. So you're going to get some set 0 packs and you're going to get some set 1 packs, and it's going to be a mix, but you'll be able to get access to some cards and start playing digitally as well.
So you'll have your physical stuff to be able to play with your friends. You can redeem the digital stuff and get into the community if you're not already there. And you'll get to meet all of us, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions I had. So I think we wrap it up here, and I'd just like to say thanks for sitting down with me and answering all of these questions.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Warsaken.